Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Say What podcast. My name is Hannah, and I'm so excited that you were here chatting with me today. Today's an advice column, but before we get to all the advice, we like to just chat. We like to give some life updates, talk about things that are going on. And, this is the second time we recorded this episode because the audio messed up the first time, which, is what it is. But honestly, I think it's for the better because the last minute questions that came in were too good. And honestly, I had to include them because there was kind of a controversial one and I'm going to talk about it. But it was so good. So, it worked out. This episode is going to be much better. That's why it's coming to you a little bit later than normal. Thank you for being patient with me. But I hope you guys are doing well. I have just been so excited to record podcasts. I'm so happy that I get to do this every day. I don't record every day, but that I get to do this. It is the best thing in the world. And I love you guys so much. Seriously, it just brings me so much joy to get to do this. And I just love you and thank you. So some life updates that I wanted to share is today is actually 4 months since my surgery on my leg. So I broke my leg on November 19th and November 20th. I had surgery to put the titanium rod in my leg, who I refer to as tibia because it's in my tibia. So me and Tibby have been hanging out for 4 months, and it's really crazy that it's been 4 months because 4 months feels kind of like a big milestone for me because when I was in the hospital, I break my leg, and I'm like, what does this mean for my life? I don't even know how I'm supposed to process. My whole life turned upside down when I broke my leg, and I just was like, I don't even know what my life is going to look like, and every doctor, nurse, whoever that I was talking to, I kept asking them, what is my life going to look like in 4 months? I don't know why I picked 4 months, but I just kept saying, in 4 months, what is my life going to look like? Every doctor, every physical therapist, every person I talked to, I was just asking them. I was like, I need to know what my life is going to look like in 4 months. And here I am 4 months later. And everybody who kept answering me was like, your life is going to look relatively normal. You're going to be probably on the floor playing with your son. And I was just like, there's no way. How am I going to be on the floor playing with my son in 4 months? I just didn't believe it. And then when, it was month 2 and I'm still in excruciating pain every day. I'm still sitting on the couch. I can't get up. I can't play with Tate. I can't go up and down the stairs. Then it's month 3 and I'm still limping so much. I'm not walking very much. I'm just really struggling to walk, but I'm doing it, but it's hard and it's painful. And I just was like, there's no way at 4 months, I'm going to not be in pain. And there's no way at 4 months that I'm going to feel okay. And I just can't imagine that. And here I am 4 months later and I am in no pain. I don't have any pain anymore. I mean, the pain sometimes comes and I definitely feel uncomfortable still. My leg does not feel back to normal by any means. It definitely still hurts. PT, it hurts, but I'm not in pain every day. I'm not in pain I was. I used to be in so much pain all the time, and I'm not in pain anymore like that at all. I went a whole week without having any kind of pain. My pain level was at 0, and that is just mind-blowing. And here I am 4 months later, and I can be on the floor and play with my son, and I do that all the time. And I can speed walk now, which I'm so excited about. Not that I really sped walk in my life before I broke my leg. I was not out running often. But I'm going to do that now because I can. And I'm so excited. I have physical therapy right after I record this podcast. And I just can't wait to go and work on walking and work on running. And it's the best thing ever. So I'm just really grateful. The Lord has absolutely healed me full on. And on Monday, I go to my doctor's appointment again. And I cannot wait to see the x-ray and see what it looks like. So I'm just feeling really grateful. It's been 4 months with Tibby, and me and Tibby struggled a lot there at the beginning. I felt really disconnected to this rod on my leg. I was I just feel so, I don't even know, uncomfortable that there's something in my body that I've never seen before. I kept saying I really want to hold this thing. I want to see what it looks like. How is this supposed to be my body for the rest of my life? That was really bothering me. But I feel I'm really past that now, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. So the other life update is that Zoloft is keeping me sane, but I actually think I'm going to save my Zoloft update for next episode because next week's episode, I'm going to talk all about being on an antidepressant and why I went on it and the ins and outs of the postpartum rage. And so, you know what? I'm going to save that. For next week. Okay, so today's episode is a little advice column, and I'm so excited about that because I had you guys write in what's happening in your life. I was like, give me the tea, tell me what's going on, tell me what you're struggling with. And it was 100% anonymous. So, like, I couldn't see who you were. I didn't even get your email because, like, on Instagram stories, if you respond to my question box, I can see your name. I never click on your profile. Like, I don't look at that because I really want you guys to have anonymity if that's important to you. Like, if you want to message me, you can, obviously, then we can chat. But, like, I don't go and like creep. I don't look at that stuff. And so this even was more so 100% anonymous. So today's advice is going to be kind of like big sister advice, like remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not, I'm not like someone who knows everything. I'm just coming in giving you my big sister advice. You don't have to give all the disclaimers. And since we're doing advice, it just felt appropriate to have, my coffee here with me. This mug says, thanks for always liking my posts, feels appropriate. But yeah, this is just your friend, your sister giving advice. And we actually had a lot of questions come through. Like I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect to get as many as I did. And so I won't be able to answer all of them, but I will answer as many as I can. And then I'm going to do these advice columns probably every like 6-ish weeks maybe. And then obviously I can get to the questions that I wasn't able to before. Hopefully the timing works out still. But I'm really excited to do this. And since I am a weekly episode, it doesn't make sense to do these every week, but I love the advice column. I think it's really fun. So we're going to get into the questions. Oh, one more disclaimer before I get to the questions is that I'm allergic to the pollen. I think everybody's allergic to pollen, but I'm like extremely allergic to pollen. I am regretting with everything in me moving to the South right now. Like I love living here. I love being close to my family. I love everything that North Carolina has given us, but I do not love this pollen, and I wish I didn't live here. I don't actually feel that way, but I am hating it because I wasn't sick when I lived in Colorado. So I'm going to try really hard not to sniffle. Okay, first question. Birth control causes crazy emotional problems for me. I'm getting married in July and I need birth control alternatives. IUDs scare me. Maybe the arm implant, natural family planning, help. Okay, I've been there totally. Like right after I had Tate, I was like, I don't want to go back on hormonal birth control. I really cannot say that word right. I do not want to go back on birth control because it really made me so just like not myself. And I did not realize that I was not myself until I got off it because I was on the NuvaRing for like 4 years. And I really thought on those 4 years that I felt fine. Like I would have told you that I was fine. Like there was no problems or whatever. But once I got off, it was just like a whole new world. Like I just felt so much better. I was happier. I wasn't as like snippy to Thomas or anybody around me. Like I just felt so much happier and so much better. So I definitely have been there. And I want to encourage you to stick with that. Don't go on hormonal birth control. If you know it makes you crazy, don't like try to give in because condoms are your friend. We forget about condoms. Like truly, I think we forget about condoms because everyone's like, well, I don't want to use a condom because I don't like how it makes me feel. And I just like, or I don't like having to do that. And the guy's like, well, I don't like how it makes me feel. None of that. None of that. Like if your husband has a problem with a condom, like seriously, no. Like that's no. Birth control should be responsibility for both of you, not just the woman. So, but I do understand there are some condoms that you don't like that are like, these are really uncomfortable. And I get that, okay? But there's this wonderful condom brand called Skin, and it's like Skin Feels Everything, and it is fantastic. And we've used a couple different condoms before, but this one is seriously the best one that we've used. And so I will link it in the episode notes. It is fantastic. But we really do forget about condoms. I don't know why. Like, I just forget that condoms are something that you can do with birth control. But they really are great. That's what we decided to do. I highly recommend. I'm going to be so honest with you. Like, I have heard terrible things about the arm implant. And just because I've heard bad things doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. But I've never heard anyone have a good experience on the arm implant. Like every single story I've heard has been really terrible with the arm implant. So I don't think that you should do that, if I'm being honest. But I do think you can do natural family planning. That is great. I know a lot of people who do that. With natural family planning, though, you have to be super on top of it. Like you have to check your temperature every day. You have to keep up with when you're ovulating. Like you really have to be in tune with your body, know your discharge, know what your temperatures mean, checking every day at the same time. Like you have to do that. And for me in my life, I cannot do that right now. But that doesn't mean that you can't. So I definitely think that's an option, but you have to be so educated about that because you're basically like having sex like normal and just not around your fertile window. Or I think some people may use condoms just during their fertile window. That was too scary for me because like the pull out method also, do not do that. Do not pull out. People are like, what's the pull out method? It's where you like get really close to completion and then you pull out right before and then you like finish another way. But there's like pre-cum. Pre-cum can sometimes get you pregnant. Like little spermies can get up in there and get you pregnant. So don't pull out. No. Do not pull out. Not an option if you are trying to not get pregnant. And I sometimes feel like natural family planning can be a little bit close to that if you're like not using any other protection. So I recommend maybe the combination of both. Before having Tate and had like a consistent period, I knew when I was ovulating, like my discharge was very obvious when I was ovulating, so I could like track that. But even still, like I would recommend another way, or another birth control option. But there are a lot of people who do natural family planning, and it's great. But don't knock condoms till you try it. It may take a couple times, like trying different ones. Like the ones that we like the best are the skin ones. We used the Maud ones before. It's Maude. And we did like those, but we just like the skin ones significantly better. So I'll link those in the episode notes. It may just be like trial and error of trying to find the right condom for you, but don't knock those till you try it. Like for real. I think condoms are your options. Okay, next one. I'm 4 months pregnant and I'm getting so stressed about all the decisions I'll have to make when it comes to birth. I totally get that. Natural, epidural, interventions. Are the people delivering my baby going to push me to do things I don't want to do because they hurry me along? TBH, I'm probably watching way too many IG reels about birth. Yes, you are. Everything is just making me feel like my delivery doctor or midwife is going to bully me into Pitocin or a C-section. I'm definitely going to deliver in a hospital, but I am stressed about how things are going to go. My mother had a super traumatic birthing experience with me, so that's some more baggage I'm bringing into this birth. I just want things to go well, and I know I need to be calm for my baby's sake too. Ugh, haha. Any recommendations for how you prepared for Tate's birth? First off, congratulations. That's so exciting that you are pregnant and having a baby. That's so exciting. But secondly, I can read the panic and stress in your question. Like I feel that so much. I feel the panic that you have. I feel the stress that you have. I get it. I have been there. And listen, the internet is great. The internet is so helpful. Like I'm so thankful we have the internet. Obviously, this community is like a product of the internet. Like I love Instagram. I love that we're able to connect. I love that people are being so bold and brave and sharing their stories. I think for a long time, people were sharing only positive things about birth or whatever they're going through, and people weren't really sharing the negative. And then there's been a little pendulum switch where people are sharing so many negative things, which is fine because if that is your story, then you should share that. And I think there is so much power in sharing your story. Obviously, I had a negative story with painful sex and I shared that. But I think a lot of times when we're sharing our stories, people who are like taking in the story can make it their story. So like you hear that and you're like, okay, well, because she did that, that means that's going to happen to me too. And I just want to tell you that just because other people have had traumatic birthing experience, just because Instagram Reels is telling you one thing, that does not have to be your story. That does not have to be your story. A lot of it not even on purpose, but a lot of it, like stuff on the internet, has made us really scared of birth. It really has made us really scared of birth because traumatic birthing experiences do happen, unfortunately, and it sucks. And I do think it's important that we do share these things because we do need to bring awareness, and those women who've been through that need to feel less alone. And it's important for us to bring awareness to like the, maybe not the downsides of giving birth in a hospital, I guess. So that way we can be more prepared and advocate for ourselves. But we don't need to be scared that just because someone had this experience means that it's going to be our experience as well. There's so much fear around that. And in the middle of all that, I think we've lost that our bodies were made for this. Like your body knows what to do. Like when God created women's bodies, he created them to be able to give birth. And I understand that some people struggle with infertility, and I'm so sorry. And this does not mean that like your body was not designed to do that as well. But like your body was designed to give birth. Like your baby knows when to come out. Like your baby knows every step of the birthing process, which is so bizarre. Like if you really take time to think about it, it's so crazy that we can actually like push children out of our vaginas. Like that's so insane. But our bodies were designed to do it. Like your body goes through a process. It's natural. It's beautiful. It was made to do this. And I just want to like look at you in the face and hold you and tell you like your body was made for this. You can do this. Like you can give birth and it'll be so positive and so incredible. And I just want to speak so much life into that because you've seen so many negative things and that's really getting in your head. So get off Instagram. Like get off IG Reels. Stop taking that information in. You need to stop seeing it. It is stressing you out so much. You have to get off Instagram. And honestly, if anybody is sharing their birthing experience with you and it's negative, you need to ask them to stop telling you. And that's okay. Like truly, that's okay. You can say like, I can't hear this right now. I've been really stressed about it and I just need to hear the positive stories. And that's okay. When I was pregnant with Tate, I started reading this one book that everybody raves about and says it's really positive because I really wanted a natural birth. And so I was reading this book and it's a ton of really positive birthing stories, which was really helpful. It's Ina May's, I just lost my train of thought of what the book is called, Guide to Natural Birth or something like that. And I really enjoyed the first part because the first part was so many positive stories. And then it got into the second half. And honestly, it terrified me. I was reading about Pitocin, I was reading about epidurals, and I was like, no, I can't give birth. I can't do this. I am petrified. I was truly petrified. So I just stopped reading. I said, putting this book away. We are putting this book away. We are not reading this anymore. And I just had to realize that like we live in a modern time where modern medicine is incredible and it's so good. And so I just decided like, if that is what needs to happen and that's what's best for my baby, that's what I'm going to do. So I want to encourage you to go in without necessarily like a birth plan because things never go to plan. I would go with birth expectations or maybe not even expectations, birth wishes. That's the word I want to use of like, I hope that this can happen, but if not, it's okay. And my last piece of advice is I really want to encourage you to have somebody with you that can advocate for you, that knows what you want and what you don't want. Like I didn't want to do Pitocin until like for as long as I possibly could. And so when I went to the hospital, my water had broken. And so there's a time frame where they get really worried about infection. And so I was getting close to that time frame where it's like, okay, your contractions aren't starting. Like we really need to hurry this along. And so they asked me about PIT and I was like, I don't want to take that right now. And they were like, okay, that's fine. And that was the end of it. And then like a couple hours later, they're like, let's talk about Pitocin again. And I was like, okay, I think I can do it now. So like, you can speak up for yourself, but I really want to encourage you to have somebody there with you that can speak for you and advocate for you. I had the incredible honor of doing that for my best friend. I was able to be there for her birth and I know her so well. And we had talked before about what she wants and what she doesn't want. And so in those moments where she's like, she was so like stressed about giving birth or not stressed about giving birth. She was in so much pain during the labor process and couldn't really talk. I was able to be like, okay, what's happening now? And then I'd go to her and be like, okay, this is what's happening now. And I could like kind of speak for her in those moments because I knew what she wanted. And so having somebody that can do that for you is extremely helpful. And I want to tell you, there are so many kind, loving, incredible doctors and nurses out there. Like there truly is. And I had the best experience. Like if you want to hear a positive birth story, go listen to mine. It was super incredible. Like I was sitting there pushing my baby out, talking about Taylor Swift, listening to Taylor Swift, laughing with my nurses about it. One nurse was even like, oh my God, I'm going to be at the concert. And we were there together and it was incredible. And I had somebody the next day, a nurse come to me and she was like, I was in your room. I wasn't, around you, but I was in the back in case something went wrong. And that was just the most joyful experience. And I was like, thank you. So your birth experience can be joyful, So I love you. You can do this. I'm so sorry that you're so scared. Get off Instagram. Okay, next question. This is the kind of controversial one, you guys. Woo. Okay, here we go. I have a friend who I've been super close with, but with the election coming up, cue panic mode, I found out she has a lot of different views than I do on kind of major stuff, like all the really heavy things. How did I not know this? Can we still be friends? I didn't say anything in the moment because I was so shocked and didn't want to start an argument, but what do I do? Help it really out. Okay, this is a great question. And I'm going to have probably a hot take here, I would guess. I don't really know if it's a hot take. I think it's kind of a hot take. I think you can still be friends with this person. I think that years and years ago, our world became so divided when it comes to the topic of politics. And I don't like to talk about politics on this podcast. So like we're not really talking about that in particular. And that's actually a boundary that I do have. I'm not going to speak about it. I'm just not, because there's things with this podcast that I have boundaries on, and I'm going to stick to them, and that's fine. But this isn't necessarily a politics question, so that's why I'm answering it. But I think, years ago, our world became so divided, and it turned into, if you did not agree with me on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, like, I can't speak to you, we can't be friends, and you're a terrible person. It really did turn into, like, if we have a disagreement, that means you're bad and terrible. And you are not asking this at all. I think this is a very valid question, like truly, truly valid question. And I'm so glad that you wrote in and asked, because I've been in this exact situation before, like to a T. And it's really hard. It's really hard. But I do think that you can still be friends with this person. I think when it comes to these friendships, I think if your values are the same and your values align, then you can still be friends with them. And I think it's honestly beneficial that you have people in your life that don't agree with you on everything. That helps us grow. That helps us become, learn more about other people and other people's experiences. That helps us, become just a more well-rounded person. Something that Amanda Carpenter said that has just always stuck with me is that there isn't a single person you wouldn't love if you didn't know their story. And she always talks about building a longer table rather than like a higher fence. She's building a longer table for people with different experiences. And I've really tried to cling on to that. And I really think there's just so much power in having people in your life that don't agree with you on everything, because it really has helped me understand other experiences and have more compassion to other people. So I do think that you can be friends with this person. Now, when it comes to your like super inner circle, the people that you go to with every single thing, always, like I do think it's, probably easier for your friendship, maybe better for you guys to agree on the major stuff. But when it comes to just like a close friend like this, like so far you guys have been fine and everything has been great. And it seems like this person is a kind, respectful person. I don't know that has to change now, and I think that if this person is, someone who's kind and loving and respectful, if you guys do end up talking about this stuff and if it's a respectful conversation, I think it's fine to still be super close friends with them. Honestly, I think it's helpful. I think it's beneficial. I think it can make things a little bit harder, but I don't think we need to just cut people out of our life. And I don't think you were asking that. But this is hard. This is totally hard, but you can still be friends with them. I think it's beneficial. I think it's good. I think that if your values are the same, like for example, me and Thomas don't always vote the same. And that might be like super like crazy. I don't know if that's crazy or not, but we don't always vote the same. We have the same values. We have the same morals, but at the end of the day, we believe they should happen in different ways, pretty much, which is how we vote differently. We don't vote like crazy differently, but sometimes we don't vote the same. And sometimes we just have different opinions on how the solution should happen. And so that results in us voting a little bit differently. And so I think that like you can still have people in your life. If your values align, I think that's where it matters when you're super close friends with somebody. So if your values align, that's great. Now, if you are getting into closer election time and they are saying super like horrible things about other people in the opposite party or whatever, then it's like, okay, if that's the kind of person you are, like, I don't know if we can really be friends, because I don't want to be friends with people who treat people a certain way. So I think that's what it comes down to, is your values. So yeah, but I do think it's helpful to be friends with people who are different than you. I really do. So yeah, I hope that helped. Okay, next question. I have been married for 7 years with vaginismus the whole time, diagnosed 3 years ago. I went through 2 years of pelvic floor therapy, regular therapy, and even got vaginal Botox, but nothing helped. I want to have a good sex life with my husband, but I'm so tired of trying. At what point can I just say, it is what it is? I will always feel like there's more I could do, and I'm not allowed to quit. I stopped PT a couple months ago with his support, but I'm at a crossroads of what now? I am so sorry that you're going through this. Like, I could only imagine how difficult this is, especially, 7 years. Like that's really, really hard. So I am so sorry that this is where you're at. I want to tell you that like you are absolutely allowed to take a breather. Like you said, you're not allowed to quit. You are allowed to quit for some time. Like you really are. You've been going through this for so long. And sometimes our bodies just need a break and need like a moment to reset. And so I'm proud of you for, stopping PT for a little bit. I think that was maybe wise. Like you just need to kind of reset, because it seems like you're maybe not in the best headspace at the moment with this. And the part of the healing process is having hope for healing. And I do want to tell you, there is hope for healing. You're not too far gone. Your body's not too far gone. Like there is still hope for healing. And we got to get you to kind of that mind space as you're going into this, or as you're going to like work on your healing journey. But I just want to tell you, it's okay to stop for right now. Like, you can take a breather. It's okay. It is probably good for you. It's good for your body. It's good for your mental space. But I also want to tell you that you need to talk to Jess from Pain Free Intimacy. This is basically her story. Like, when I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is Jess's story. And I am praying that you reach out to her. Like, this is completely anonymous, so there's no way for me to like send you her Instagram, but I need you to follow her. It's Pain Free Intimacy. I think it might be pain.free intimacy. I'll link her in the episode notes, but you need to message her. This is basically her story, and she's a vaginismus coach as well. And so I really think that you should talk with her, get into her program. You know, I said take a minute, like quit, like let's quit for a minute. But once you're ready to get going again, you need to talk to her because it's just helpful to know that you're not alone and that your story is, you know, not just yours. Like, other people have been having the same story as you, and her story is so similar to you. And me and her actually recorded a podcast talking about her story, and so I'll link that in the episode notes as well. But I really think that you need to listen to that, because that is literally, you guys have almost the same exact story. So I really think that you need to talk to her and hear her story. And I really think that she can help, because she experiences pain-free sex now, and it's awesome. And so I want that to be your story too. So you need to talk to her. But healing is absolutely possible. Take a breather. I do think it could be helpful to try a new therapist. I know that once I went the holistic route, that was game-changing for me. Just going to regular pelvic floor physical therapy was helpful, but I needed a holistic version. I needed someone to do mind and body together as one. And something that was really game-changing for me was doing acupuncture, and that helped regulate my nervous system. And so when we actually did the external and internal work for pelvic therapy, it was able to work because my nervous system was actually more regulated. And so if you have not tried holistic pelvic floor physical therapy, I do recommend you trying that. Okay, next question. Penis smell or taste. I love my hubby, and this is not meant to shame because we all get odors, but I cannot go down on him or even have my face at all close to his penis because I physically dry heave or gag. I've tried everything to get out of the gross mindset, but I just can't, even to the point of not being able to have covers over us while touching him because the smell is too much. Honestly, this is relatable. Our bodies, they smell sometimes. It's just part of being human. Our bodies smell. And I get it. I've been there before, especially when I was pregnant. I was like, oh my God. Thomas could have just showered, but I still was like, can't do it. Can't do it. Get away from me. And so I've been there. I get it. I actually asked Thomas about this because I was like, what do you think? He was like, he probably has a labor intensive job. And so he's sweating a lot and he just needs to take a shower. And I was like, that is exactly what I said. This is not revolutionary advice, but I do think we got to shower before we have sex. I think that could be helpful for you guys. And maybe you've tried this. I don't know. But I think if you guys shower immediately before and then go straight to having sex, that can really help. And it doesn't have to be like a wash your hair shower, all of that. It can just be like a body shower. But I think that this could even be like sexy, you know, like tell them like, hey, let's go get in the shower together. Let's have some like sweet, intimate time in the shower, and then let's go have sex. And I think that can help because then you're like super fresh, should smell really good. So I think you should try that. It's not revolutionary advice, but I do think it could be helpful. And that's what Thomas said. He was like, y'all, they just need to shower first, and that could solve the problem. And I don't think he would be offended by it because you're like, hey, I think showering together could be fun and sexy, and let's just like hop in, you know, rinse our bodies off, wash our bodies off, and then get in the shower. And he probably will enjoy the freshness of you too, honestly. Like it's a win-win for both sides. So I think you guys should shower first, but it's very relatable. Also, hold your breath. Like not like the whole time, but if you're trying to, you know, do some oral, hold your breath. I've been there. Sometimes you just have to hold your breath. And, you know, it's because like, I always like try to make sure I'm clear on, I'm not telling people to do something they don't want to do. But sometimes I do want to do that because I want to do it because he likes it and it's fun. And I just like want to do that. But sometimes the smell is hard. So you just gotta hold your breath. Hold your breath. Okay. Next question. This one's tough. This one's really hard. And I answered this question on the other episode. And then I was like, I don't even think that was good advice. I don't really know what to do. And so I asked Thomas and he was like, I don't really know what to do either. But we're going to talk about it. I work on staff at a church as a female worship leader, and my senior pastor won't talk to me ever, like at all. He won't respond to my text messages, emails, or talk to me in person, whether it be one-on-one or in a group setting, like in staff meetings. As a female, what should I do? this like immediately gave me pause. I'm going to be so honest with you. This really was just like, why is he not speaking to you? Is he not talking to any other women on staff? Because if he's like only talks to the male on staff, like that really does give me some pause. It's like, why can you not trust yourself to talk to women? Because I know that like everybody has their own boundaries with like opposite sex relationships, but this person is your pastor. Like I feel like you should be able to go to them and talk to them about things because they're your pastor, and it not be like weird or crossing a boundary, or even like a simple like question that you have about his message in a song that you want to do on Sunday if you want to see if it connects, like you should be able to go and speak to him. And so the fact that he's not speaking to you is weird. Like it's weird. And I don't think it's anything that you've done. I just think it's like really weird that he's not speaking to you. And so I don't necessarily have advice, but I do have follow-up questions that can maybe help you get there. And I feel like I need more context. Like, is it a large staff, a small staff? If it's only like a staff of like 10 and he's not speaking to you, that's super weird. If it's a staff of like 20 or 30, he's not speaking to you, it's like, well, maybe he's got other things going on and, you don't have a lot of direct relationship with him. When I was on a church staff of like, I think there's maybe 30 of us. I worked at a pretty large church. I didn't speak to the lead pastor often at all. Like we would talk here and there, so he wasn't like completely avoiding me, but there was not really ever a moment I needed to text him or needed to email him. And if I did, I went through his assistant and then we could talk and it was fine. But I do get that. There were times I worked there and I was like, we like never spoke. And that feels like really weird. So I do get that. But he would talk to me if I needed to. It sounds like he's not speaking to you at all. And that just really gives me some pause. Like, I'm really not understanding that. So this is really hard. Part of me thinks that maybe you should just talk to a trusted person on staff that you have. Like, is there someone you can go to in confidence and say like, hey, this is going on. Have you been there before? Do you know if anybody else has been there before with this? Is there something going on that I need to like know about? And then maybe you guys together can go speak to him and say like, hey, I just wanted to clear the air. Is there a way that I should be trying to reach out to you? Or have I done something? Or, because you should be able to speak to your pastor. Like, I don't understand so I totally get where you've been, because if you're working at a large church, especially, sometimes it feels like there's like this disconnect between pastor and staff. If it's like a very large staff, like it kind of felt like when I was working there, like he was like the end all be all. And like, I wasn't like important enough to talk to him. Like I felt that way sometimes, but then like being a part of other churches, I see how important like of different sizes. Again, now I'm even at a larger church and I still feel like, but I feel like I can go to my pastor if I need to. I think it's really important that you are able to speak to your pastor if you need to. Like they're the leader of the flock. Like they're supposed to be there for their people. And so that's the whole part of being a pastor. And so I just would like figure out what there's something going on. I feel like that's just weird. So maybe like you can go to talk to this person and then together you guys can go and speak to him and just be like, hey, like what's going on? Is there something happening? I don't know. I would love some more context. So send me a message like directly if you feel like you can or want to. If not, it's fine. But that's tough. And I would love to hear the listeners, the Say What friends. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this, because this is tough. Also, I've been thinking, you guys, we need a name for our community. And I always call you friends. I always call you besties. So if you're fine with like Say What friends, let's do that. Like we're friends. I love being a friend. But like other people, like the Toasters are the Toasters, the Weekly Trash are the Trashers, the Say What girls are the Valley Girls. Like we need a name. We need a name for our community. So if you've got any ideas for the community name, let me know. Okay, next question. My husband and I have a hard time getting him to completion during penetrative sex. We get close, but then we have to finish other ways. It is not the end of the world, but it would be nice to have traditional sex sometimes. Any tips or ideas to try? So I do have a question. Is he on any anxiety medicine? Because this actually is a side effect of anxiety meds. And been there. Definitely have been there before with the side effects of the anxiety medicine. If you know, you know. So I do understand that struggle. But I recommend trying different toys or different positions. Like, have you guys ever tried toys? Because our bodies get so conditioned. So if you have sex the same way every time, your body's conditioned to him not like finishing and inside of you. And so if that's something that you're wanting to happen, then we got to break it up. We got to show our body there's other ways. We have to break that conditioning and recondition our bodies to something else. And so I recommend trying toys. Like there's different penis rings that you could use that can maybe add a new sensation for him. You can use a vibrator on him. Like that can add a new sensation for him. And so I recommend trying some toys or trying a different position. And if you're like, Hannah, I only know one position to have sex, what do you mean? You should go to christianfriendlysexpositions.com and you can see different sex positions. And that website has different, like they use stick figures to show you ways to have sex. So that way you're not seeing people's faces. Cause I'm not trying to see anybody else having sex. So this website is fantastic. I'll link it in the episode notes. But I would try different positions. We got to switch it up. We need to break that conditioning, and I really think that could help. So let's try some toys. There's no shame in buying sex toys. We're so thankful the internet exists, because going to some sex stores is like, I am not trying to go there. Like that is sketchy and weird, and I'm just not trying to do it. And I've not found a like sex store here, because in Denver I had a store that I would go to that I say I would go to. I went to one time, and it was like so just like you're walking into a cute little clothing boutique. Like it was so just like cute and not weird. But I don't know of one here in Raleigh, Denver. So I'll have to find one. But that is what Amazon is for. And if you're feeling weird about it, just private browser it. It's fine. You should try that. Okay, I've got to get through these questions. Okay. Next one. Currently pregnant with twins, and these will be our first children. We always said we wanted 2 kids, so we are considering me getting my tubes tied. My OB takes the tubes completely out, making it irreversible, so on the off chance we ever changed our minds, we would never be able to have more biological children. We have both prayed separately and together, but I'm the worst at figuring out if what I'm feeling is from God or from me. Any advice on how to discern God speaking to you and answering your questions or prayers? I don't want us to make this big decision, then it not really have been God's plan, because I know all that will only lead to heartache and regret. We want to listen to God and his plan no matter what that is, but I'm at a loss. Any tips? First off, congratulations. Twins is so amazing. Before I was pregnant with Tate, all I wanted was twins. And then when I got pregnant with Tate, I was like, I don't think I want twins, but I think twins is incredible, and I love that. So that's so exciting. Secondly, I say the way that I, in my personal life, have always been able to discern if it's God or not is if there's peace. I say lead with peace. If you have peace in your body, if you have peace in your soul, I believe that is from God. Like I have felt that so much of like, should I do something? Should I not? And then I just have peace and I'm like, okay, this is it. And it's not to say you don't have any worries or questions, but it's just a level of peace in your body that you feel. And just from reading your question, it does not sound like you have peace. Like I'm not you. I don't know what's in your heart. But the fact that you say I'm at a loss, I don't think you should do it. I don't know that you should do this, because there is a chance that you could change your mind and you want more biological children. And you don't really know that until you experience it. Like you don't know before you have kids, it's the age-old thing. Like before you have kids, you say all these things, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do this. And then when it actually happens, it's so different. Like when you actually have a kid, it is so different. Like I was like, I'm never going to be a screen time mom. Here I am. YouTube is raising my child sometimes because I'm a work from home mom and that's the only way I can get work done. But you just never know. And so I really want to encourage you here to lead with peace, because you sound like you don't have peace. And this is such a big deal that I would just say lead with peace. Now, you could hear that and be like, all right, Hannah, bet, lead with peace. And then you guys go and pray about it. And then you're like, I have so much peace about this decision. Okay, then I'm going to encourage you to do it. But until you get to that place, I do not think you should do this. So I say lead with peace. It does not sound like you have peace. So I would wait. You really don't know how you're going to feel until after you have kids. And so I would wait. Okay. 2 more questions. I'm struggling with painful sex and not really sure where to go from here. I tried telling my OB, but she pretty much dismissed it, which was really defeating because she's the first person outside of my husband or best friend that I've told. Any advice on what to do / where to go from here? I don't think she will give me a referral to a pelvic floor physical therapist, and the only place I've heard back from that does that kind of thing needs a referral. I'm so sorry. This is so frustrating. Like, it makes me so mad. Why are doctors not taking painful sex seriously? I do not understand why doctors do not take painful sex seriously. At any point, if you're having pain with anything and you go to a doctor and say, I'm having pain, they should help you, and they're not helping you, and I'm so sorry. It took 5 doctors to help me out with this. So I'm so sorry. You should not have to go through 5 doctors, but I am going to tell you, you need a different OB. You got to go find a different gynecologist. You are done with this one because this doctor not helping you at all and dismissing your like true concerns is not okay. You need a new doctor. So you got to go find a new doctor. This is not okay. That needs to be your next step, is finding a new doctor. Secondly, you may not, I guess you don't have a lot of pelvic floor therapists in your area because there are some places that don't require a referral. And so I would just look up holistic pelvic floor physical therapists in your area and see if you can find that, because usually holistic ones don't require a referral. And so I definitely recommend doing that. Holistic pelvic floor therapists near me, and see what you can find, because that makes a world of difference. But you got to find a new doctor. I'm so sorry. This sucks. This sucks so bad. I also recommend trying dilators in the meantime. I'll link some in the episode notes that you can try, but I'm so frustrated that your doctor dismissed you, and I'm so sorry. That's not okay. You got to find a new doctor. And you can even say when you're talking to this new place or whatever, say I'm trying to find a doctor that can help me with my painful sex. I'm having painful sex, and I really would like a referral to pelvic floor physical therapy because I don't want to be in pain anymore. But my old doctor, I don't even say, but my old doctor should be like, I'm looking for a doctor that can help me get a referral to pelvic floor physical therapy because I have extremely painful sex. And push until you get it. Keep trying. Healing is possible. I don't want you to be in pain. And so keep trying. Do not give up. It's worth it. Okay, last question. Guys, when I read this question, I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally mine and Thomas's story. And I've not shared part of this story before, so I'm going to share it with you. But I'm so excited to read this one. It's kind of tea. Okay. A guy and I started talking over 4 years ago, but never dated. After 8 months of being friends, we ended up splitting and going our separate ways, and both ended up in a 3-year relationship with other people. Fast forward to October 2023, I broke it off with my boyfriend, and in January 2024, this guy gives me a call and asks me for advice. He told me he doesn't know what to do, and he knows he is never going to marry this lady he was with, so of course I tell him to dump her. Not even 2 hours later, he actually broke up with her. We have been hanging out every now and then, and I'm not sure if I need to give this guy a chance or move on. I basically think you should get married because that's what happened with me and Thomas. You guys should get married. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I love this so much. I think that this is honestly meant to be. I feel like if you guys were in 3-year relationships and then have found your way back to each other, I think this is the guy. I think this is the one for you. And I think you guys should get married. Like, this is crazy. I know that you're probably worried about being, a rebound. But if this guy calls you after years of talking and being with you, even though you guys never dated, he's still thinking about you, I think you should go for it. And I think you can talk to him and be like, listen, I don't want to be a rebound. I don't want you to be a rebound for me, even though you've been single since October. So that's kind of a long time. Not, oh my God, I just said you've been single for a long time. That's not what I meant, but you know what I mean. I think you'd be like, I don't want to be a rebound. But at this point, you probably wouldn't be because it's been a couple months. So I think you guys should do it. I think you should give him a chance. So me and Thomas actually dated in high school and then broke up. Didn't talk for a few years, started talking again as just friends because we both worked at churches that were friends with each other. We both dated other people, like very serious relationships with other people. And then I was single for a while, and Thomas was actually in a serious relationship. And we would still talk every now and then just about like church stuff. And it was never anything more than that. Like, I was never trying to get with him. I was like, there's no way. We don't even live in the same area. We're hours and hours apart from each other. Like, I'm not trying to get with him. Like, it was truly, truly just friends. Like, never anything more. I never thought we would end up married, literally ever, because I just never thought we'd end up married. And so we were friends, like genuinely just friends. And so we would talk every now and then him and the girl he was dating decided that he should not speak to me anymore, which is fair. So he calls me one day and he's like, hey, we can't talk anymore. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fine. And we didn't talk for a year. I trusted. I was like, I get it. I'm not trying to cause problems in your relationship. We won't speak anymore. And then out of the blue one day, I was actually kind of like, I kind of liked this guy and he was dating this girl. And then out of the blue one day, he calls me and I was like, hello. It was like a year later. He's like, hello. I'm like, are you having problems with your girlfriend? And he was like, yeah, like we're kind of breaking up. And I was like, okay. And so they started breaking up and then we started talking again and then like maybe a couple months after that, maybe like 2 months after that, we kept talking and we were just like, okay, we're both at the age where it's time for people to get married. Like, we were like, we either should just get married or we should just not be friends anymore. Like there's no point in us continuing to do this. And so we were like, okay, I guess we'll get married. And then 2 months after that, he proposed. And then 5 months after that, we got married. So the phone call to our wedding was less than a year. So I think I should do it. I technically was like, I guess, quote, the rebound, because he was not single for very long when we got together, which was kind of scary for me. But I just was like, this just makes sense. We're coming back together. I never thought it would happen. I didn't want it to happen. But then when he came back into my life, I was like, this just makes sense. And some people are meant to be together and some people aren't. And I don't think it's that deep. And I think we were meant to be together. So this is meant to be. You should be with this person. You guys should get married and invite me to your wedding. Give me an update. Also, I meant to mention at the beginning of the episode, I need updates. So if there's any kind of update with the advice that I give you, just go right in and say like, hey, I'm updating this. Like write into that Google form and give me the update, because I want updates after I give you guys this advice. Okay, this was really fun. I love chatting with you. If you could give me just take 1 second out of your day, just one little second, and leave me a written review, that would be super helpful. Since I relaunched the podcast, all of my reviews are super old. So if you could just please give me a review, that is really helpful for other people to find this podcast. I'm really trying to make this my thing that I do all the time, and reviews are super helpful. So thank you. I love you guys so much. Thanks for talking with me today, and we will talk soon.